I'm Katya. I'm 16 and I've just been pulled out of high school to go and to learn programming, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all of the things at Dev Mountain down in Provo. So that's what I'm doing now. And apparently I was signed up to give a talk by my father. I found out today on the train ride home. So forgive any stalls, I guess. So I'm presenting about how to get your kids interested in Angular, since recently coding has become kind of, everyone's doing it. It's that kind of thing. Everyone is doing it. All my friends are like, yeah, I played around on this website with something or other and I got to change the color using these numbers. And I'm like, well, that's coding. They're like, what, really? Yes, it is. Good job. And now there's games going around for little kids that they can use to play, and it teaches them JavaScript and Python is what they can, some of the things they can use. Code Combat, it's really fun. You get to kill giant trolls. But it's kind of becoming a core literacy in this new era coming in, with all of the teenagers starting to take over all of your jobs. That's kind of what's happening now. Hear us. So Angular is kind of really cool. I still know barely anything with Angular. I can't even get my scopes to work by myself, which kind of sucks. But it's really interesting because you get to do a lot of cool stuff with it. Like, it's not just HTML and CSS, so it doesn't just look pretty. You can actually play around with it and make the site more interactive, which is what a lot of people like to do. They like interactive sites that they feel respond to what they're doing and what they want to do on the site. And that's interesting. Kids like interesting. They don't like uninteresting. They don't like history class. They don't like reading textbooks. They don't like reading history books. They like Harry Potter. So I kind of think of Angular as the kind of Harry Potter, because you have to use your little dollar signs and your scopes to make sure everything fits. You have to do Wingardium Leviosa, not Wingardium Leviosa. Do everything specifically. But getting your kids interested in Angular can be kind of difficult, because you take one look at all of that mess and your kid is going to run for the hills. You're like, okay, see, look at this thing. Do you know what it does? Then they'll just run. They don't know what's going on, because all it is to them is some other language. It's like taking someone from Portugal, sticking them in Russia, and telling them, good luck, find the airport. It's not going to work. But if you slowly teach them, well, hey, look, this thing right here, little title, it doesn't look like it does much. It just says, hey, this is my story. But you can click on it and you can change it. I don't know about you, but my cousins find that very, very interesting. Like a 5-year-old cousin's like, whoa! Change it to her name and she like freaks out because you can change it. And you can't just do that with HTML. You maybe can. I don't think you can. I don't know like anything. But with Angular, you can. And it's actually quite simple. A lot more simple than I thought it would be when my dad first proposed, well, you like to write stories with your friends. Let's make a way that you can make everything more organized when you write stories. Let's use Angular. And I'm like, slow down. But after he kind of wrote all of the back end and made sure that it would work and had me kind of play around with it, like, okay, what does ng hide do? Well, obviously it hides something. Exactly. Way to go. So it's just kind of getting them very, very slowly integrated into it. Like here we put the, if I can find my mouse, we put the ng hide equals editing, and right here it says editing equals true. So if you tell a little kid, so editing is yes, and that says the span the span hides when editing is yes. So the span doesn't show up on your little story editor while editing is true. Pretty simple. And then you go and you show them over here. I've again lost my mouse. You show them the editing type right there, and you show equals editing. That means that that one will show when editing equals true. So when editing is true, the span will hide, and the input box will show. And then you give it to them, and you say, okay, now type that in. Type in the ng show equals editing on the input, so that when we click on here, the little input box will show up. But then when you do that, there's no way to get out of the input box, which is then when you add the button and the ng hide equals editing. And then right here, this little fancy thing, the ng click, makes it so that editing equals false once you click the done button, which brings everything back to its first state of the input box being hidden and the span showing. So it's kind of hard to teach kids Angular because they do not learn the same way that adults do. Like with an adult, if you go through and show them step by step, okay, once you put ng hide on, then it will hide. They'll be like, why are you talking to me like I'm a 30-year-old? With adults, you just tell them, okay, ng hide, you add that to your attribute, and that'll make it disappear. You just kind of show them. And tell them what each thing does, and let them play around, and then the adults will figure it out. With little kids, it doesn't work that way. You can't just tell them why something works. You have to show them how it works. You can't just tell them to do something and expect them to do it correctly. Like you can't just tell a kid, okay, get on the bike and start pedaling. It'll work. Trust me.
I feel like I haven't met any adults by your description.
Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. Most of the adults I know, if you tell them get on the bike and start pedaling, then they know how to ride the bike. Little kids, and again, all of my cousins are too afraid to get on a bike, let alone ride a bike. But adults, if you tell them the basic principle of how something works, like how to drive a car, you show them the basic principle. Like when you press that pedal, it goes. When you press that pedal, it stops. It'll work. With little kids, one, their legs are too short to reach the pedals. So you have to give them a bit of help. Let them steer while they sit on your lap and you control. Let them play while you do all the heavy lifting, kind of. Using a lot of metaphors that don't even make sense to me.
Well, they're good metaphors, really. I think you're doing well.
So, one thing that, since this room is mainly adult males, I'm the only non-adult. Since this room is mainly adult males, I'm guessing a lot of you, if you have kids, if they're boys, then you know, hey, you like games, you like sports, I can show you how to build a video game. But with your little girls, you're like, what do I do? Because girls don't really like the rough and tumble thing. Girls mainly like princesses and Disney and fashion games. So you're like, what do? I can't help. You don't want to play Minecraft. That's what your brother wants to do. How can I show you that this is a fun thing you can do? And that is hard because most girls think, well, my little brother plays video games, I can't play video games, and I have Barbie dolls, those are fun. So let's go play Barbies. And you're like, how can I show you coding if all you want to do is play with dolls? So with little girls, it's harder to get them interested in things like this, where it's more technical and it's more thinking through problems than just being a girl. It's more, you have to think, and it's mathematical, and most girls do not like math. I hate math. Math is my least favorite thing. I will get as far away from math as possible. I hate it. But a good way to get girls interested in this is to show them this is something you can do that